There comes a moment in every awakening journey when the change is no longer just mental or emotional, it becomes physical. You begin to feel things in your body that you cannot fully explain. Sensations that arrive without warning, waves of energy, sudden fatigue, tingling, pressure, heat, lightness. It can feel confusing, even unsettling, especially if no one has prepared you for it. But what if these sensations are not random? What if they are evidence that your spiritual frequency is rising? As your consciousness expands, your nervous system, your energy field, and even your cells must recalibrate. Growth is not only a mindset shift, it is a biological event. When you move into higher awareness, your body works to match that new vibration. Today, we are going to talk about 8 physical sensations that may be signs your spiritual frequency is shifting into higher dimensions. If you have been feeling different lately, this message may be arriving at the exact moment you need it. Tingling sensations in the crown or forehead. One of the most common signs of spiritual elevation is tingling or pressure around the crown of your head or the center of your forehead. It can feel like gentle pins and needles, a soft buzzing, subtle pulsation, or even a faint swirling sensation that seems to come and go without warning. For some, it feels like light tapping. For others, it feels like warmth gathering at the top of the scalp or a magnetic pull between the eyebrows. This often happens during prayer, meditation, deep reflection, worship, journaling, or even in completely random quiet moments when you are not actively trying to access anything spiritual. It may also arise when you are listening to something that resonates deeply with your soul, when truth lands in your spirit, or when you are in a state of surrender. This sensation can indicate activation of higher awareness. As you access deeper insight, your mind is forming new neural pathways. You are literally thinking differently. Old belief systems are loosening their grip. Old mental structures that once felt permanent begin to dissolve. New perception is opening. You may find yourself questioning things you once accepted without thought. You may begin seeing patterns in your life more clearly. You may experience sudden clarity about relationships, habits, or long-standing fears. That tingling is sometimes your system adjusting to expanded consciousness. When awareness expands, your nervous system must recalibrate. Growth is not just emotional or spiritual, it is neurological. Your brain is adjusting to holding broader perspectives. You are stepping outside of automatic reactions and beginning to observe your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. That shift requires energy. It requires adaptation. The subtle buzzing or pressure can be your body integrating new insight at a physiological level. Sometimes this sensation happens after you release something, an old resentment, a limiting belief, a painful memory. It is as if space has been cleared internally, and energy is now flowing where stagnation once existed. The crown and forehead areas are often associated with perception, intuition, discernment, and spiritual vision. When those faculties sharpen, sensation can follow. It is important not to force meaning onto the experience or chase the sensation obsessively. It is not about creating something dramatic. It is about allowing natural expansion. The body communicates in subtle language. Tingling can be one of those whispers that says, "You are shifting." It can mean that your awareness is no longer confined to survival-based thinking. You are stepping into observation, insight, and intentional thought. Over time, as you grow more comfortable with expanded awareness, the sensation may become gentler or less noticeable, not because the elevation has stopped, but because your system has adapted. Just as muscles stop aching after consistent training, your nervous system stabilizes as new perception becomes your normal state. What once felt unusual becomes natural. What once felt intense becomes integrated. The key is presence. When it happens, breathe. Observe. Do not panic. Do not overanalyze. Simply allow your system to integrate. Growth does not always shout. Sometimes it hums quietly at the top of your head, reminding you that consciousness is widening and you are learning to see from a higher vantage point. 2. Sudden waves of fatigue. You may feel extremely tired for no clear reason. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but a deep cellular exhaustion that seems to settle into your bones. It can feel like your limbs are heavier than usual, like your thoughts are slower, like your body is asking you to pause even when your schedule demands movement. This fatigue may arrive unexpectedly. One day you feel motivated and clear, and the next you feel as if all your energy has been quietly drained. It is not laziness, it is not weakness, it is not a lack of discipline. It can be a sign of internal recalibration. When your spiritual frequency rises, your body requires energy to integrate that shift. Transformation is work. Releasing trauma is work. Rewiring thought patterns is work. Forgiving people who hurt you is work. Choosing new habits over old coping mechanisms is work. Expanding perception beyond survival thinking is work. Even when it feels subtle, change consumes energy at a biological level. Neural pathways are restructuring. Hormonal patterns are adjusting. Emotional defenses are dissolving. Your entire internal system is reorganizing. Your body may demand rest because it is upgrading. Just as muscles require recovery after physical exertion, your nervous system requires recovery after emotional and cognitive expansion. If you have recently confronted truth, released a relationship, healed a wound, or stepped into a new level of awareness, your system may enter integration mode. During this phase, outward productivity may temporarily slow down while inner alignment deepens. Instead of resisting the fatigue, honor it. Rest becomes sacred during ascension periods. Rest is not regression. Rest is not falling behind. Rest is integration. When you allow yourself to sleep, to sit quietly, to reduce stimulation, you're giving your system permission to stabilize at a higher baseline. Fighting the exhaustion often prolongs it. Honoring it shortens the cycle. This kind of fatigue often feels different from burnout. Burnout feels chaotic and stressed. Spiritual integration fatigue feels heavy but quiet. There is less mental noise but more need for stillness. You may crave solitude more than stimulation. You may cancel plans not out of avoidance, but out of genuine need for restoration. During these seasons, hydration, nourishing food, gentle movement, and intentional breathing become important. Your body is not betraying you. It is supporting you. It is saying, we are changing. Slow down so we can adjust. Eventually, clarity returns. Energy rises again. But when it returns, it feels different, more stable, less frantic, less reactive. The fatigue was not a setback, it was a recalibration. It was the space between who you were and who you are becoming. 3. Heightened sensitivity to sound, light, and crowds. As your vibration increases, your tolerance for chaotic environments may decrease. Loud noises feel sharper, bright lights feel harsher, crowded spaces may overwhelm you faster than before. You may walk into a room and immediately feel overstimulated. Conversations that once felt normal may now feel draining. Background noise that you previously ignored may suddenly feel intrusive. It can seem as if your sensory volume has been turned up. This is not weakness. It is refinement. Your nervous system is becoming more attuned. As awareness expands inward, sensitivity often expands outward. You are no longer operating on autopilot. You are perceiving more layers of information at once. Tone shifts in conversations, subtle emotional undercurrents, environmental energy. What once blended into the background now stands out clearly. When you are in survival mode, Your system filters out subtle information to focus on immediate threats. But as you move into greater internal stability, your perception broadens. You notice more, and noticing more can initially feel overwhelming. It is similar to stepping out of a dim room into bright sunlight. The light is not harmful, but your eyes need time to adjust. You are no longer comfortable in frequencies that clash with your inner alignment. Environments filled with gossip, hostility, chaos, or artificial intensity may feel exhausting. Your body may subtly tighten. Your breathing may shift. You may find yourself craving quiet, nature, slower conversations, and authenticity. This does not mean you are becoming antisocial. It means your system is prioritizing coherence. You are learning that not every environment deserves your energy. You are becoming more selective, not from arrogance, but from awareness. Over time, you will learn to regulate rather than avoid. You will discover grounding practices that allow you to remain centered even in busy spaces. But in the early stages of heightened sensitivity, it is wise to reduce unnecessary stimulation. Spend time in natural light. Walk outdoors. Sit in silence. Protect your input. Refinement is a sign of elevation. When your internal world becomes more ordered, external chaos becomes more noticeable. This is not fragility. It is discernment developing. And discernment, when respected, leads to peace. 4. Heart area pressure or expansion. Some people feel tightness, warmth, fluttering, fullness, or even aching in the center of their chest. It may feel like pressure behind the sternum. It may feel like expansion spreading outward from the heart space. It can arise during moments of forgiveness, vulnerability, gratitude, or deep emotional processing. It can also surface unexpectedly when a memory returns or when you allow yourself to feel something you once avoided. This can be linked to emotional release and heart expansion. When you forgive, when you let go, when you choose compassion over resentment, when you release the need to defend yourself internally, your heart space opens. That opening can feel physically intense. Growth stretches before it stabilizes. For years, many people build emotional armor. They protect themselves from disappointment, betrayal, rejection, and grief. That armor feels necessary for survival. But when you begin to heal, that armor softens, and softness can feel unfamiliar. The chest may feel tender. You may feel exposed. Vulnerability replaces defense. When suppressed emotions surface, they often pass through the body. Tears may accompany the sensation. Deep breaths may feel involuntary. There may be moments where the chest feels heavy before it feels lighter. That heaviness can be the final expression of what was once trapped. Choosing compassion over resentment reorganizes your internal landscape. It lowers stress responses. It softens tension patterns in the body. But the transition from guarded to open is not always smooth. There is stretching involved, and stretching creates sensation. The key is gentleness. Place your hand over your chest. Breathe slowly. Allow whatever emotion arises to move through without judgment. The heart does not open through force. It opens through safety. Over time, the pressure transforms into spaciousness. What once felt tight becomes warm. What once felt guarded becomes steady. Emotional resilience replaces emotional defense. You are no longer protecting yourself from life. You are participating in it. And participation requires openness. Openness requires courage. And courage often announces itself first as a trembling, expanding sensation in the center of your chest. 5. Random waves of emotion. You may cry without a clear trigger, feel joy out of nowhere, experience sudden gratitude, or even brief sadness that passes quickly. These emotional waves can feel confusing at first, especially if you are used to being emotionally steady or controlled. One moment you are functioning normally, and the next moment your eyes fill with tears while doing something ordinary. You might feel your chest swell with appreciation for something small, a sunrise, a memory, a kind word. Or you may feel a sudden heaviness that moves through you and then disappears just as quickly as it came. These emotional shifts are not necessarily instability. They can be release. These emotional waves often surface when suppressed energy is clearing. The body stores experiences, it stores unspoken words, it stores grief that was postponed, it stores anger that was swallowed, it stores disappointment that was minimized. Over time, those stored emotions do not disappear, they compress. And when your frequency rises, stagnant emotions cannot remain hidden. They rise to be acknowledged and released. When you are evolving spiritually and mentally, your system no longer wants to carry outdated emotional weight. The walls you built to survive begin to soften. The coping strategies that once numbed you begin to dissolve. And when numbness fades, feeling returns. That return can be intense. It can feel unfamiliar, but it is healthy. Sometimes the tears are not about the present moment at all. They're about a past version of you finally being seen. Sometimes the joy is not random. It is relief. Relief that you survived. Relief that you are changing. Relief that you no longer react the way you used to. Emotional waves can represent integration. Your past and present are reconciling. The key is not to suppress them again. Let them move through you like weather passing across the sky. Emotions are not permanent states. They are movements of energy. When you resist them, they linger. When you allow them, they pass. You do not need to analyze every tear. You do not need to justify every feeling. Awareness is enough. As your frequency elevates, emotional intelligence deepens. You begin to notice feelings earlier, before they explode. You become more honest with yourself. You stop pretending you are unaffected when you are not. That honesty creates room for authentic peace. Over time, the waves become less overwhelming because there is less backlog to clear. What once erupted unexpectedly begins to flow gently. You become someone who can feel deeply without being controlled by what you feel. That is strength. That is maturity. That is elevation. 6. Changes in sleep patterns. You might wake up at unusual hours, especially between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. You may find your eyes opening suddenly without an alarm, your mind alert even though your body is still tired. You may experience vivid dreams, symbolic visions, intense dream activity, or conversations in dreams that feel unusually real. Some nights you sleep deeply and wake refreshed. Other nights you wake repeatedly with thoughts flowing rapidly. These changes can feel disruptive at first, especially if you are used to predictable sleep cycles. As your consciousness expands, your subconscious becomes more active. Sleep becomes a time of integration rather than simple rest. During waking hours, you process information logically. During sleep, your deeper mind reorganizes patterns, memories, and emotional residue. When you are growing, that reorganization intensifies. Waking between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. can feel mysterious, but it often reflects heightened neurological activity. Your brain may be processing insight. It may be consolidating emotional shifts. It may be integrating lessons you confronted during the day. The stillness of early morning can also amplify awareness. With fewer external distractions, internal clarity becomes louder. Vivid dreams can symbolize healing. You may dream of old friends, childhood homes, former partners, or past environments. These dreams are not always literal. They are symbolic closures and integrations. The mind revisits unresolved spaces to finalize them. Sometimes you wake feeling emotional without remembering the dream itself. That too can be integration. Instead of fearing disrupted sleep, consider journaling what surfaces during those early hours. Keep a notebook nearby. If insight comes, write it down. If emotion surfaces, breathe through it. Treat the experience as information rather than inconvenience. It is also important to maintain balance. Gentle routines before bed, reducing stimulation, limiting screen exposure, breathing exercises can support stability while your system adjusts. Your body is not malfunctioning, it is recalibrating. Eventually, sleep stabilizes again, but when it does, it often feels deeper and more restorative than before. You wake with clearer intention. Your dreams become less chaotic and more instructive. The phase of disruption was not disorder, it was reorganization. Temperature, fluctuations, or heat waves. Sudden warmth spreading through your body, especially along your spine or chest, is commonly reported during energetic shifts. It can feel like internal heat rising without an external cause. You may be sitting still and suddenly feel a wave of warmth travel upward. You may feel your face flush slightly, or your back radiate heat. Sometimes it is subtle. Other times it feels almost like standing in sunlight, even when the room temperature has not changed. Energy moving through the body can stimulate circulation and nerve response. As blocked areas release, warmth can follow. Think of it as frozen parts of you thawing. When you have held tension in certain areas for long periods, shoulders, chest, abdomen, release allows blood flow and nerve sensitivity to increase. That increase can register as heat. Heat is often associated with activation. When you confront truth, when you speak honestly, when you set a boundary, when you forgive, when you step into courage, your body reacts. It responds to alignment. The warmth can represent energy no longer suppressed. As blocked areas release, warmth can follow because resistance decreases. Suppression requires tension. Tension restricts flow. When tension softens, flow returns, and flow generates sensation. It is important to differentiate normal energetic warmth from medical concerns. If symptoms are extreme or persistent, medical guidance is wise. But mild, passing heat waves during emotional or spiritual breakthroughs are often integration responses. Think of it as expansion generating friction before balance returns. When you stretch a muscle, warmth increases. When you challenge a belief, energy shifts. When you move beyond fear, adrenaline and relief can mix. Your body is involved in your growth. It is not separate from it. Over time, these heat waves become less startling. They feel familiar. They feel like confirmation that something moved internally. Eventually, the intensity lessens because your baseline becomes more regulated. What once required dramatic adjustment becomes natural equilibrium. Expansion often generates heat before balance returns, and balance always returns. Feeling detached, yet deeply present. This one is subtle but powerful. You may feel slightly detached from drama, conflict, or old patterns. Situations that once triggered you no longer grip you the same way. Conversations that once pulled you into defensiveness now feel distant. You may observe arguments without feeling the need to participate. You may watch chaos unfold without absorbing it. It may feel like you are stepping back internally, even while physically present. It may feel like you are observing life instead of being consumed by it. There is space between stimulus and response. There is a pause where reaction used to be immediate. That pause is growth. That space is awareness. At the same time, you feel more present than ever, more aware, more intentional. You notice your breathing. You notice your thoughts. You choose your words carefully. You are not numb. You are conscious. There is a calm clarity beneath your interactions. This dual sensation, detachment from chaos and deeper presence in peace, is a strong indicator of frequency elevation. You are no longer reacting unconsciously. You are responding consciously. You are no longer entangled in every emotional current around you. You can witness without absorbing. Detachment here does not mean indifference. It means regulation. It means your identity is no longer fused with every external circumstance. You understand that other people's reactions belong to them. You no longer feel compelled to fix, argue, or defend unnecessarily. This shift can feel strange at first. You may wonder if you are becoming distant, but true elevation does not remove compassion. It refines it. You care deeply, but you are no longer destabilized easily. You are grounded in yourself. You are anchored internally. Presence replaces impulsiveness. Intention replaces reaction. Peace replaces performance. And that is perhaps the clearest sign of all. You are no longer living on autopilot. You are awake inside your own life. Spiritual ascension is not always glamorous. It can feel uncomfortable, disorienting, and lonely at times. But these physical sensations are often signs that you are evolving beyond old limitations. Your body is recalibrating to match your expanding awareness. The key is not fear, it is understanding. When you understand the process, you move through it with confidence instead of confusion. This is the Woman of Light channel. If this message found you at the exact moment you needed clarity, consider subscribing so you do not miss the next confirmation meant for your journey. And if you know in your spirit that this message arrived in divine timing, type 11. 11 in the comment section as a declaration that you are aligned, ascending, and open to higher blessings. Thank you for watching.